We are not rare. But before you leave, you will perceive the lore will be unlocked. You might be stalked by a Sasquatch or a ghost witch, possibly even a ghost that will boast about knowing the Ohio Grassman or even the Michigan Dogman. Werewolves hunt, poltergeists are up front, but in these backwoods folklore is unlocked.
Welcome back to Folklore Unlocked. I'm Austin, and like always, I'm joined by Ethan.
Yep, hello again, everyone.
And this week we are taking a look at quite possibly the most controversial topic we've covered so far, and the secret bloodline of Jesus. And the people involved are Jesus Christ, or Jesus of Nazareth, Mary Magdalene. Those are the two key figures, and possibly the Merovingian dynasty that ruled the Franks.
So, Mary Magdalene, of course, is an important follower of Jesus. She was present at the crucifixion, and Jesus apparently drove 7 demons out of her, according to the Gospel of both Mark and Luke. And then she was, of course, the first to discover the empty tomb.
Yeah, I didn't put a slide in for Jesus because I think most everybody at least knows the basics behind the story of Jesus and who he was. And the Merovingian dynasty, like I said, ruled the Franks in modern day France from about 482 AD to 751 AD, and they were known as the long-haired kings, and those who cut their hair were not allowed to rule. And their name Clovis evolved into Louis, which, if you know anything about the French monarchy, there were a lot of King Louis throughout the French monarchy. Doesn't really have anything to do with this, but yeah.
So, the whole theory behind Jesus' secret bloodline is that it states that Jesus and Mary Magdalene at some point got married, and Mary got pregnant and gave birth after Jesus was crucified, and the child was named Maximin. Or another possible theory states that Jesus rose up from the dead, and then him and Mary had a daughter, Tamar, and then a son, Jesus Justus.
And then there's some potential tomb evidence. Simcha Jacobovici and Charles R. Pellegrino argue in both the documentary The Lost Tomb of Jesus and the book The Jesus Family Tomb, both released in 2007, saying they had found ossuaries, which are more or less coffins in a basic sense, in Jerusalem belonging to Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And inscriptions in Arabic translated read, Judas, son of Jesus, Jesus, son of Joseph, and Mary Omni, which they attribute to Mary Magdalene. And if you know anything about the story of Jesus, him being the son of Joseph was the the secular father of Jesus.
So, in pop culture, there is the Holy Blood, Holy Grail 1982 book, and then the Messianic Legacy 1986 book by Michael Bygant, and then Richard Lay and Henry Lincoln. Then there's also The Woman of the Alabaster Jar, Mary Magdalene and the Holy Grail, 1993 book by Margaret Starbird. Then there's The Bloodline of the Holy Grail, The Hidden Lineage of Jesus Revealed, 1996. And then Genesis of the Grail Kings, The Explosive Story of Genetic Cloning and the Ancient Bloodline of Jesus, 2000, by Lawrence Gardner. How does it cloning get into this?
I have no idea.
Then, of course, there's Da Vinci Code, 2003 book by Dan Brown, and then, of course, the 2006 film.
Yeah, the Da Vinci Code actually was inspired by Holy Blood and Holy Grail, or I should say, Dan Brown was inspired by Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and took inspiration for, the whole plot, which, if you haven't, go read the book. It's a good book. I recommend, even if you, whether if you believe in it or not, it's a good book. I've personally read it and recommend. And there was actually like a lawsuit by the three authors of Holy Grail and Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and Dan Brown over like copyright issues.
I haven't read Holy Blood, Holy Grail, but I have watched the Da Vinci Code. So
yeah, if you like the movie, you'll like the book.
okay.
And on to our thoughts. I personally don't believe in it, but I do think it's a cool what if scenario to think about. But like I said, don't believe in it. And I don't think it goes past a cool what if scenario. Because my thinking is, if something that important were to actually happen, there would be probably loads of, documentation. But then again, since it's been 2,000 years, more or less, since the life and death of Jesus, the documentation could easily have been lost or destroyed, or, just never know what happened to it.
Yeah, even if Jesus did have a family and children, and that's a very, very big if, I bet it would have been kept secret by the church. And like Austin said, documents could have been destroyed, or they possibly could have been hidden, like maybe in the Vatican secret archives.
Which we do have a video on.
And if they did, or like, I guess if his bloodline still does exist, it could have been hidden to possibly protect them, because they would have been like celebrities, and sometimes celebrities might have people that don't like them or something like that. And I mean, it could be very useful not to know that they exist.
Exactly. And that's actually a theory why nobody knows of the bloodline or who they actually are, because the early church did hide it. So there's a fun fact, or possible fun fact. Can't really collaborate that, so
Theory/fact.
yeah. Any last words, Ethan?
Just thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're on Spotify, leave us a like, leave us a follow and a comment, and we'll see you next week.
You might wake up beside Spearfinger with an extended visit from Jack the Ripper. But if you're lucky, it'll be an angel on that range hill of Louisiana. You might meet Mary Magdalene or the Road. At Folklore Unlocked, Austin and Ethan concoct their theory of the eerie and unexplained around the world. sometimes even the underworld. The lore is locked behind secrets, but folklore is meant to be unlocked. The Sokaloo is haunting NC as well as Tennessee. There are many giants that might be clients of the Dark Watchers, who might have psychokinesis. And the phantom time hypothesis is like a phoenix, coming back around again and again. Though it is a strain on your brain if you got more than 2 brain cells in you. Some believe McCartney is dead because they read into the Mandela effect, which is subject to folklore.